Preparing live stream. Yep, we are now live. So if you would like to let people in.
Yeah. Ready? Yep. Energizing.
Preparing live stream. Oh. Yep, we are now live. So if you would like to let people in. Okay, I think I can hear myself on my my YouTube now. So
ready? Energizing.
Hang on, let me just turn my sound off on that. There we go. Ah, it's all technology here, guys. Welcome and happy World Space Week to everybody. Let's start the presentation. Can you all see the presentation? Yes, I've got thumbs up there. That's marvelous. Right, okay. So here we are. We're in World Space Week 2022. I'm just going to give you a quick run through as to exactly what World Space Week is and why we celebrate it and what benefits it gives to us. So World Space Week 2022, we are in a space and sustainability theme. So here we go. This is me. World Space Week UK is British Interplanetary Society, are the national coordinators. And World Space Week. So what is World Space Week? World Space Week in 1999 was mandated by the United Nations, and the purpose was to celebrate each year at an international level the contributions of space science and technology to the betterment of the human condition. So why does it run between the 4th and 10th of October every single year? The reasoning being is 4th of October 1957 is a significant date. It was the launch of Sputnik 1. On the 10th of October 1967, the enactment of the Outer Space Treaty. So these are two really significant dates in space history. And that is why World Space Week every single year runs from the 4th to the 10th of October. So World Space Week is promoted globally by the World Space Week Association, which is a global organization, and it runs with all the World Space Week coordinators in 85 nations. So it's promoted as the largest annual public space event on Earth. So anyone, even those who are off planet, so although I say on Earth, I don't mean on Earth, because anybody on the ISS can also celebrate World Space Week. Tim Peake last year, sorry, not last year, when he was on the space station in 2016, ran the London Marathon. The global nature of World Space Week means that it attracts media attention. So how does it do this? We educate people around the world about the benefits that they receive from space. We encourage greater use of space for sustainable economic development. We demonstrate public support for space programs. On the educational level, we excite children about the learning and their future. We can promote institutions around the world that are involved in space, and we can foster international cooperation in space outreach and education. So every single year, the World Space Week Association themes World Space Week. So this going back to 2000, when it first started as a UN, what's the word? Mandated, UN mandated week, we started theming it. And what that means is if you look at the themes, you have an inward looking theme, so a theme that looks down to Earth, and then you have an outward looking theme. And they tend to try and do this year on, year off. So for example, last year, Women in Space was an outward looking theme. The year before, Satellites Improve Life was an inward looking theme. So we were able to look at how satellites benefit the human condition. This year, space and sustainability. For me, I'm a bit, I think this is an outward looking theme, but it's also inward looking because the sustainability can be in space and on Earth. And it is how we use our satellites that are orbiting to help us with the sustainability. So that's just an overview of the different themes that we've had. So how does it work? So by synchronizing all these events, we are creating a news story. So media coverage then reaches the mass public all over the world. So here's a few examples of some tweets that have gone out. A lot of them are World Space Week 2020, but that's mainly because the majority of this presentation has been running for quite a long time, and these were some of the nicest tweets that have been out there. So we've got, if you can see the one in the middle, People of Space. She created Sputniks to eat. You know, so it's something very, very simple, but that's a news story. That's inspiring people about space using a very, very creative means. We've also got news stories about Helen Sharman from the NASA STEM engagement team, University of Greenwich, you know, Origami Originals, World Space Week rings, for example, made out of paper, absolutely brilliant ideas, and all of them are World Space Week events. So who is involved? Because it's a UN mandated week, it is the United Nations. World Space Week Association, as I say, is the global organization that oversees everything going on in the world. And there are 85 national coordinators at the time of writing this. So obviously the UK is the British Interplanetary Society, who I work for on a voluntary basis, running the World Space Week in the United Kingdom. And on the call today, I will introduce you to my successor, who will be taking over during and after this World Space Week. And who else is involved? Anyone who wants to be can be involved, whether it's on a management level or a coordination level, or creating your own events, attending events, or doing anything for World Space Week during the 4th to the 10th of October. So in 2021, on the global calendar, you can see that there are many events that actually have locations. If you don't put your location, it doesn't mean that you're not having an event, it just means it won't show up on this particular map. So in 2021, there were over 6,000 events worldwide. So what can you do? You can hold an event during World Space Week. That's the most important bit, because what that does is means that we are engaging with people. Each one of you who is watching this can engage someone else and share your passion of space and educate. Education is an important part of World Space Week. So how can we do this? Writing articles about space or Space Week, publishing them, sending them to magazines, writing short stories, banquet with a space speaker. So you could have a keynote speaker at a big dinner, or you could have a wedding, which is space themed. You could have celebrities, astronauts, cosmonaut appearances, concerts, music, drama, art, exhibitions. Everything that is on this list is a World Space Week event and can be registered as a World Space Week event. So you can even tweet about space. I know on the call today, we've got Jackie Burns, who today registered an event because she started tweeting about World Space Week, and every day she will tweet something different about World Space Week. Again, very simple, but it's engaging other people and educating other people about the benefits of space. What else can you do? Most importantly, spread the word. That is a key aspect of World Space Week, is getting everybody involved. So here's some of the World Space Week events that we've run in the UK. A lot of them have Al Worden in them, who was Apollo 15 astronaut. That's mainly because I worked with him for 5 years and we did a lot of World Space Week outreach together. We've got Dallas Campbell in there, there's astronomical societies, there's schools. And the next one, you see, we've even got a recycled spacesuit competition, and that was run at RAF Benson in their primary school. We have a spacesuit that went round a lot of World Space Week events for about 3 years. And again, New Scientist Live, schools events, public outreach, but also individuals. So what I'd like to do now is just if anybody has any questions, if you can put them in the chat, and if Shweta can read some of those out to me, then I can answer any if there are any there. Otherwise, as this evening goes on, just drop the questions in the chat and I can answer them. So this year's events, this is what you're here for today. You want to find out exactly what's going on in World Space Week 2022 in the UK. So being the World Space Week coordinators, we can only promote the events that are registered. So this is why it is important to register your event. Not only does it mean that you can get global promotion for your school, for your company, for your business, for your activity, for your resources, whatever it is that you're doing in World Space Week, register. So these are some of the registered events. So here's a big one for you. I mentioned New Scientist Live. This is the first New Scientist Live in World Space Week since 2019. I'm very excited that I'm going to be there on the Friday for the Schools Day and the Saturday. So this is going on at the Excel in London. It's also available to visit online. So if you go onto the worldspaceweek.org events list, then you can actually have a look at this, find out how you can get involved. I'll put all that information into the chat once I've finished the presentation. So World Space Week at Magna. Now Magna is a local museum to me in Sheffield, and they've already had their pop rockets on the Saturday the 1st and Sunday the 2nd of October, but they've got a Stars and Planets themed workshop next weekend. So get along to that if you're in the Sheffield area next weekend. Because I wanted to show this first, because what I wanted to point out is even though they had an event on the 1st and 2nd, it still is a valid World Space Week event. Even if they hadn't had a week, the Saturday 8th and 9th, it would have been a World Space Week event, because any event that is space themed, that is held between the 1st and the 15th of October can still be registered. So those are the major cutoff dates, but we try to encourage you to keep it to the 4th to the 10th of October. So we also have the National Space Centre up in Leicester. They're doing the Space Lates, and I've not put the date down there, but I think it's on the 8th as well in the evening, because it's a sleepover. And Spacebar regulars and BIS regulars will know Dallas Campbell and Susie Imber. They will be there at the Space Lates at the National Space Centre. So now I've talked enough and I need to get a glass of water, but I'm going to hand you over to Helen Schell, who has created this event for World Space Week, registered it, and she has some more information for you. So I'm just going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to welcome Helen in. Okay, so Helen, if you would like to share your screen.
Right. Just going ahead. There we go.
Have a look at some chat as well.
So this is a bit of a process, but I think we're getting there. Here we go.
Right, we can see your screen, so that's brilliant.
There we go. Hello, everybody. I'm sure you can hear me. So hello to people in the UK, and hello to the world, if there are worldwide people there, and maybe there might even be some people watching off this world. I'm very pleased to say I have managed to put on an exhibition during World Space Week, and since 2018, even during COVID. So again, this year I'm putting on another show. It's called The Human Spaceship Upon the Moon, and it's an exhibition by me. Obviously, I'm a specialist artist, and I also do space science education work. I pretty much will cover any topic of space as long as I can understand it. This exhibition is going to be at Vane Gallery in Gateshead, UK, and the dates are the 13th to the 29th of October. obviously lots of people won't be able to come to it. I'm going to give you a web link later on, so you can look at the information online, and also there'll be a web link to a show I did in 2020 which actually has a VR tour. Now during this show I will be showing a series of spaceships that I have created. These the spaceships that are on show were created during COVID. Hence, they have a rather menacing look about them, and they have rather menacing names that relate to our experiences in COVID. So this is called the Pin. They're big artworks, primarily made in acrylic paints, but they also have drawn elements. And at times, I leave the canvas bare, so it will show it as if it's like a drawing. Obviously, I feature optical illusions in it, which is to represent the conditions of space. So this exhibition, Upon the Moon, which definitely pays homage to the Artemis missions and is linked to the upcoming events that are about to happen. But I've been very interested in the moon since 2011, when I sort of first looked at it and thought, actually, I don't know anything about the moon. So the human spaceship is my umbrella name for the projects, and this one is called Upon the Moon, and it is an exhibition of work inspired by 21st century space exploration, with a planned NASA Artemis mission to return humans to the moon within the next 5 minutes. Yes, next 5 years. This exhibition addresses the mechanisms of human physiology and psychology in the hostile environment of the lunar South Pole, and this is where NASA intends to build its first space camp. And it really is a hostile environment. If anybody has seen the images of it, it looks incredibly difficult. I know the first difficulty is to get the rocket up, but once it gets there, it's going to be a very difficult mission. And I'm particularly interested in the very black and white qualities of the landscape of the moon in this particular area. And so now addressing the ideas about what humans will really need to be able to survive up there, not only physically, but also emotionally. So the exhibition consists of large paintings. They're made in collaboration with space scientists, as in, I don't sit there and paint with space scientists, but they inform what information I use. And at times I get to work with them on some of their projects. It uses geometric optical illusions and color manipulation. I use optical illusions because I feel that they represent the conditions in space visually and with visual perception. So there, as you have seen, there's also a series of experimental spaceship works on display. There's nothing I like better than creating new spaceship designs. So the human spaceship Art Science Project seeks to create new visual references using geometry connected to visual perception in altered gravity conditions, and encompasses Moonshot, Woman on the Moon, which I started in 2011. And I'm very pleased to say predicts just about everything that NASA is about to try and do. So there's huge paintings of a rocket, a lunar space station, and a lunar habitat, as well as a huge range of space-inspired costumes using smart materials. So some of the other artworks on display, this now goes into the visual perception. So this is Black Rocket Engine and Rocket Ship Engine number 3. These are graphite pencil and acrylic paint on canvas. They're quite big. They are about 2 meters across. And some of my works go up to about 4 or 5 meters. So I like you to be enveloped in them and to get that feeling that you are definitely in a position of altered gravity. So they're meant to make you feel off balance and slightly dizzy in some ways if you look at them too long. I like the bold use of color, and I use a huge amount of geometry in my work. So as well as the exhibition, we always like to do some presentations that might look a little differently at space conditions. I would also say at this point, these exhibitions bring in new audiences to an understanding about space, and new audiences to understand that we have a World Space Week. So if anybody is in the area, please do come along. there will be moon cheese to eat for sure. And it's on Saturday, the 15th of October, 5:30 to 7:30, 5 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. I will be giving a talk called The Slice of the Moon. I was very lucky to visit NASA in 2019 and talk to some of the Artemis scientists. I also, earlier in February this year, I presented a poster at their Human Space Flight Conference, so heard directly from the Artemis scientists and their plans, which was extraordinary and absolutely thrilling. So I will be talking about that and my Moonshot Woman on the Moon project, and talking about the human spaceship as well. And that there is the link. If anybody wants to have a look and go around the exhibition, there are also information icons, and so you can find out a bit more about it. Now, I've been very lucky up in Newcastle University and Northumbria University. I have recently discovered these amazing groups who are looking at how to build habitats, furniture and clothes from bacteria, fungi and crystalline formations. And so I've only just come across them. So I've met Monica Braddick-Limpinska with her, and she's going to give a talk on her Space to Grow, which talks about her space architecture and how we might grow habitats and objects in space, which is quite new to me, and it's very exciting. And anyway, there is now a large group of architects and artists and designers that are looking into this. So please have a look at her as well. Here are some more artworks. What Lies Beyond Black, which has got the big black semicircle, is looking at these really huge black areas upon the moon, the dark shadows and the dark craters. And it relates to work done by artists in the 20th century who did many things that were about black and white and how they affected us. And the concept that black can not only be a sort of deep hole, but can be a flat surface. So I got very interested in that. Again, I'm using optical illusions. And there's another spaceship here called the Spike, that directly relating to our COVID experience. So these will be on display. And finally, I'll just say further information and event details. I do hope if anybody's in the area, please come. I know that there's quite a few space people, and there's going to be a space camp up in this area at that time. So if you're around, please do come along. So further information, please contact Vane on this number. The dates are 13th to the 29th of October. Their opening times are Wednesday to Saturday, 12 to 5. Preview event and launch where refreshments will be served on the 12th of October. And the talks are on the 15th of October. If you want more, please look at the website. We'll give you more information. And I just want to also say thank you to the multiple organizations that I have managed to work with who embrace space science and art and think it's very valid. And so STFC, which I find to be a brilliant organization, very open and very dynamic. RAS, IOP, the International Space University, Science Museum, MOSI, and a fabulous organization that I've worked with for 5 years, Sun Space Art, where there are a huge amount of space resources for schools, children, and families, if anybody is short of an activity idea. Anyway, that is it. And let me come back to the main screen. Right, now then, I've lost my stop share.
It's all right, I've done that for you.
I've done it. Oh, that's too confusing for me.
No worries, no worries. Thank you ever so much for that. That was absolutely fascinating.
Hopefully
I'm just hoping that my screen is going to share on the right page now. Yes, it does. Yeah. That's good. So I'm probably hearing a lot of, but that runs until the 29th, and you said only till the 15th, Vix. Well, no, it starts in World Space Week, the 1st to the 15th. So it starts on the 12th when it opens, when you've got the starting date, and then obviously open to the public from the 13th. So it is within the limits of the World Space Week valid event. So I didn't explain properly before, you can have events run from August through to November. And as long as they're running between the 4th and the 10th of October, again, it is a valid event. So this just shows you how wide and accepting World Space Week is in terms of registering events. So let's go on. So we also have, this is a lovely little one that I found. I do like it when people register their events and they put an image in there, because it gives me a lot of visual interest there. So all I've done is I've just screenshotted exactly how it looks on the World Space Week website. So you've got the Science Club in Abingdon. They're doing a World Space Week event for young engineers. Absolutely superb. If you are around Abingdon in that area, do go and have a look at that. Now, this is an event that has actually already happened, but I wanted to include it because it shows again how diverse your World Space Week events can be. So this was an event that was called, I've got to remember it now because I haven't written it down on here, which was a bad thing for me, which was imagine yourself or picture yourself as an engineer. And what it was a photography workshop. So we had Michael Cockram and Heather McRae, who run loads of space-related events. They do lots of outreach and lots of photography events as well. Michael Cockram's an absolutely magnificent photographer. And he went to the British Interplanetary headquarters in Vauxhall last Saturday, so the 1st of October. So this was the very, very first World Space Week event at HQ this year. And they wanted young engineers, and they wanted to photograph them, and they want to help to take away the stereotypes of what an engineer looks like. So this is a PhD student, and it just tells a story. So again, like World Space Week, this particular event was telling a story. So as I say, that's already happened, but if you're doing anything like this in the next week or so, register it. It is a World Space Week event. Now, Our Place in Space, they have got 5 different events. So I've just picked 3 of them because I thought these were quite interesting. The Space GIF animation event on the 5th. They've got an Ella Podmore challenge on the 4th, Chris Hadfield challenge on the 5th and the 10th. But they've also got a Space Frogger challenge as well. So again, go to worldspaceweek.org, have a look at the UK events and have a look what they're doing, because it's absolutely fantastic stuff. The Great North Museum in Hancock has got an event on the 8th of October. And then we've got Genosis, who've got a workshop on Black Swan scenarios. I'm not quite sure what that is, but if you're interested,
would you like me to tell people?
Can you tell people, Stuart? Thank you.
Yeah, can I share my screen? I've got a couple of slides.
Yeah, let me just make sure that you can share. Okay. Right, let me just go back. Let me stop sharing. Okay, Stuart. This is your event.
How's that working? Can people see that?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay, so Gnosis is very focused on the theme of World Space Week this year because it's all about sustainability. The name of the network is an acronym for the Global Network on Sustainability in Space. And we're particularly interested in trying to maintain the space environment, so dealing with the space debris problem and understanding some of the other threats that spacecraft face in the space environment. So we've run a whole series of events on this sort of general topic over the last couple of years. And the one that we're holding on Wednesday, which is an online event starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon UK time, is entitled Black Swan Events. So we've looked at a lot of the sort of standard scenarios, if you like, and looked at how we might deal with those through better surveillance of space. But what we're looking at this Wednesday is some of the potential outlier events that could have a significant impact on the space environment. So black swan events are, in theory, ones that are very hard to predict. They happen very infrequently, but have a very major impact if they do actually occur. So we've got a number of topics that we're going to be covering. Some of them are the sort of extreme end of the sort of regular spectrum of things that get talked about, for example. So we're going to start off with something about rocket bodies, and then we'll talk about the extreme end of some of the other threats that potentially affect our access to space. So a very major space weather event, something like the Carrington event or bigger, and there are events in history which we think were bigger than the Carrington event. And we'll be covering a number of other topics, as you can see on the list there. So if you're interested in this event, if you go to the network website, you can register there and you'll be sent a link to join the Zoom meeting on Wednesday afternoon. And hopefully it's a fairly sort of academic, grown-up sort of event for people that have a technical interest in maintaining the space environment. So I'll stop there, but just quickly, I found that cartoon the other day and thought it was rather nice. So I don't know who the cartoonist is, but just for the humour value, I thought I would include that rather nice cartoon that's quite topical. Anyway, I'll stop sharing now and hand you back to Vix. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Stuart. That's great. So if anybody's in the area for that talk, or if anybody wants to watch on Zoom, that's absolutely fantastic. I love that. I'm assuming that's just before it hit the poor little asteroid.
I love the idea that the asteroid is thinking it's going to be friendly, and obviously it wasn't. But anyway, thanks very much.
Right, I'm going to see if I can share my screen again.
I think there's one question.
Oh,
Vix,
okay.
if you want to address it.
Yeah.
There's one from John Schinner. He asks if we can nudge World Space Week Global to interact with our SM content.
Okay, so social media content is, I think that's kind of myself and Shweta's remit is if we do want the global team to engage, the best thing to do is to tag their Twitter account, which is @worldspaceweek. So if there's any more that we can do as the national coordinators, then we can look into that and get in touch with the social media team in the global organisation. But I think the easiest way is to actually tag them with their Twitter handle @worldspaceweek. Any other questions? Does that answer that question?
I think that's it. That's one question.
Okay, right. So moving on. So I also noticed that Ian Meek is here today. So I don't know if Ian wants to say a couple of words about his event that he registered, which is a toast of vodka. Ian, are you available?
Correct.
Yeah.
Or evening on the actual anniversary of Sputnik going up, we can all have apparently either Armenian or Georgian is available. We don't have to have Russian.
Sounds good. Okay, so that's for everybody anywhere they can just take to.
Details are in the chat.
Details are in the chat. Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
In at the top of the chat thing.
Okay, Shweta, can you read that out for our YouTube viewers, please, because they may not be able to see the chat.
It's a Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/british.interplanetary.
Fantastic. Okay, so what I will do is I will copy that at the end of this and put it into the YouTube information. because we are live on YouTube, people, which is quite scary. I don't know how many people are watching at this point in time, but hi to everybody there. So this will actually be recorded for posterity and on the World Space Week YouTube channel. So going on, right, there we go. So another British Interplanetary Society West Midlands event. So they are doing their Space Day again this year. So this is the first one since lockdown, and it has over 40 exhibitors. And it's an absolutely fantastic day out. So if you are in the Worcestershire area and you want to go and see them at the Hive, it is a great day out for all the family. It's free, 10:30 till 4 p.m. on Saturday the 8th. So get yourself down to BIS West Midlands. Okay, another one, Fly Me to the Moon. Again, I see Cassandra is online. So if you would like to say a few words about your event, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Oh, you've just gone on mute.
I'm so sorry. I was trying so hard there to look professional. Failed again. Sometimes the moon is round and full, and sometimes the moon is small. And sometimes it isn't there at all. Where does the moon go? If you'd like to find out, then you need to come and join me and the owl as we make our way to the moon for a fantastical storytelling and science adventure on Friday, the 7th of October. It's online. It's geared for children of between the ages of 3 and 6, but those who are older and those who are younger are more than welcome. We have so far 450 different schools and families and early year settings who have signed up, with over 15,000 people joining us for the storytelling. So do come and join us. There are still places left. I've put the information, the link into the chat box. And if you could read that out and share that on YouTube, that would be great. But all the information is on the World Space website. So do come and join us and discover why the moon changes shape and where it goes to in the sky when you can't see it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cassandra. I love those wings. They
are. We were very lucky. The wings are made by Morag Hewitt, who is an amazing textile artist. We worked together on this. We're both scientists and artists. And the wings, the owl feathers are real, and they are donated by owls from all over the UK, and none of them were harmed in the making of this story.
Fantastic, and thank you to all the owls.
Yes, absolutely. And the Owl Sanctuaries who very kindly donated them.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've heard.
Shall I quickly read the website before we get to the next one? So the website is www.settlestories.org.uk. And on the website, you should go on What's On, and you'll find Fly Me to the Moon science storytelling performance on it.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I wish I was free on that day, because I would be one of the bigger kids watching that, I think.
Just to say, sorry, if you can't watch it on the day, Vicky, it will be recorded and you can watch it at any time at home.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you very much. Right. So moving on. So as I say, we've heard from individuals, we've heard from storytellers, we've heard from major organisations. We know that the big science centres are doing things. And so what can communities do? So this is a community group. This is a modern jive group that I actually go to, and I persuaded them to do a Space Week themed jive next Sunday. So the team there are now getting their space music all sorted out and deciding exactly what we're going to be dancing to next weekend. But again, because it's space themed and there are lots of people there who aren't space people, I'm going to be going along. I've got literature, I've got the pop-up World Space Week banner so people can learn about World Space Week. And again, another valid World Space Week event, because we are engaging with people who don't necessarily know about space and what its benefits are to the human condition. Okay, moving on. That's my pitch. Oh, if it will. No. There we go. Right. So In Leicester, next to the National Space Centre, we now have Space Park, and they're presenting their Space Science and Nature event. So if you want to go onto this, you can book via Eventbrite. Again, all of these links are on the World Space Week events website. So again, I will add that information into YouTube and into the chat here once I finish this presentation, because after this, I want to just have a chat with people. I want to see what everybody else on this call is actually doing for World Space Week. Okay. So we have Northern Ireland, Armagh Planetarium. Now, I went to Armagh a few years ago and it was a fantastic event there as well. So if you're in Northern Ireland, get yourself down to the planetarium. They do Space Week brilliantly. Race to Space. Okay, so this is as creators. Now, every single year for the past 5 years, they have developed resources for World Space Week, and this is part of them. Again, on the World Space Week website, you will be able to find out exactly what it is. So in terms of if you're registering your event and you want me to promote your event, the more information you put on your illustrations, the better. Because if this had all of the information, the links and everything like that, you'd be able to see it straight away from this point as opposed to going to the website. But that's my fault as well. I ran out of time. I couldn't put all the information in here as well. So help me out and put all the information you can on your graphics. Okay. Oh no, yes, we are. That's the end of the ones that are registered and have information like visuals with them. There are more on the World Space Week website. So again, go and have a look, worldspaceweek.org/events. You will see everything in there. Okay.
May I give a quick shout out to the one event in Southwest? I think it's registered today or maybe tomorrow. There is a networking event in Cornwall, in Truro, for anyone interested. It's run by CSATT with Dr. Heidi Tiemann. So if anyone's interested in getting to know the local community in Cornwall and the brilliant activities, you can see them this Friday.
Fantastic. That's interesting. I got a video from Heidi today, and so I'm just going to play this video, and then we shall move on to me not talking, I think.
It's World Space Week. Happy Space Week with me. Happy World Space Week.
Happy World Space Week.
From all of us at Space Hero, happy World Space Week.
Happy World Space Week.
Happy World Space Week.
Hello, Mark Thompson here, and I would like to wish you all a wonderful and starry World Space Week.
Happy World Space Week. Have a stellar time.
From the whole Australians team,
Happy World Space Week.
From me and Lego Benny, happy World Space Week.
happy World Space Week.
From Minnie Cassie and myself, happy World Space Week.
Happy World Space Week.
From all of us at Space Hero, happy Happy Space Week from Space Hero. Wrong again.
Happy World Space Week, everyone.
Okay, so that's all from me and the boring part of the evening. I would like to hear from all of you as to what you are actually doing in World Space Week. So if you could raise your hand if you are doing something in World Space Week, that would be absolutely fantastic. And if you could put your videos on, because as I say, we are live on YouTube now and you can all be seen.
There's one question before we get into that. Would you like to
go for it?
Quick question. It's from Alex, but since the first World Space Week, how has the number of events varied over the years in the UK and globally? And how has the pandemic affected things?
Right, that's a really good question, actually. So first off, how have the events gone since it first started, they have steadily increased. So from about 2000, without looking at the actual statistics, I can't give you exact numbers, but I can tell you that in 2000, the numbers were in the hundreds, and that was globally, and we're now averaging more than 6,500 globally. So it has increased a lot. In terms of the UK, not wishing to blow my own trumpet or anything, I started in just after 2013, and so my first World Space Week event that I was helping to coordinate for the UK was 2014, where we had 68 events, and last year we had 98. But as I say, you asked about the pandemic. We have had between 100 and 200 events on average every single year since 2014. So that kind of gives you the increase since then. Since it first started, I don't know whether or not they were logging how many events we had in the UK, but definitely since 2014, I can give you those stats. And if you're interested and you want to help out and you want to build those even more, that's great. But and this is the thing, is that is just registered events. So those are only the events that we managed to actually get registered on the global calendar. Where the pandemic came in, we had a lot of online events, and the amount of events and the amount of people who are celebrating World Space Week has gone through the roof, because everybody is doing it online, virtually. They're all on Twitter. So mine and Shweta's job over the next few weeks will be to make sure that we have collated all of the ones on Twitter that haven't been registered and get in touch with everybody and kind of say, so if you see anything on World Space Week _UK going, oh, this is a great event, this is a valid World Space Week event, please register it. Now you know who's doing it. That's me. So please register, because I know that the UK is celebrating far more than 100 or 150 or 200 events every single year, but they are not being registered. So that is my major issue, is every single year I sound like a broken record and say, please, please, please register your event. It's simple. You go to worldspaceweek.org/events and register. It's really, really simple. If you have any problems, you can get in touch with the British Interplanetary Society, World Space Week UK team. We are absolutely there to help you. That's UK events only. If you have an event and you're not a UK-based person, go and find your national coordinator, again, on the World Space Week website. If you are in the UK, go to BIS-space.com can't even get my teeth in today, /WSW, and all of the information about World Space Week UK and how to contact me and Shweta is all there. Okay, did I answer that question? Yeah, marvelous. Okay, are there any other questions before we move on?
Not as of now, I don't think I've missed anything.
No. Okay, so we've got one hand up, Robin. So does that mean that everybody else on this call isn't doing a World Space Week event? I know there is one other person here that is, that I haven't actually mentioned yet. Okay, so we'll start with Robin. Robin, what are you doing for World Space Week?
Right, thank you, Vix. Yes, just to say, I'm supporting the World Space Day at Worcester as I come along and meet the author, because I shall have a little stand there with other BIS people and so on. And I think it's worth emphasising that this event is for families and young people, because that's given me a particular challenge, because I'm giving a talk in the morning at 11 o'clock in the morning entitled Blasting into Space from the UK. And I prepared my sort of 30-odd slides, and my wife keeps saying, that is far too complicated. So me, as a space enthusiast, I'm having to sort of ramp down backwards and try and guess what the age group of the 30 people who will be turning up in person in the room how they will be and what level it's going to be. So that's my little bit. And can I just follow up a little bit on what Cassandra was saying? Because my granddaughter, about 6 months ago, one of the little things I had to do for her school project was to go out at night and take pictures of the phases of the moon over the period of a month. And he went through, obviously, through the full sort of 4-week phases at that time. And I gave her the pictures and they were stuck in a bit of paper. And my granddaughter had to go off to the school to present and explain why the moon was changing shape from night to night over this period. Outside World Space Week, I'm afraid. But yes, that sort of thing does interest young people. Where does the moon go? So that's my little contribution.
Thank you very much, Robin. And I can tell you, because I have done a talk at the West Midlands Space Day in Worcester. The people who come to the talks can be anything from babe in arms to 100 years old. So it is quite a challenge, but it's also absolutely fascinating, the amount of people they get through their doors, and it is a fabulous day. I do recommend it if you're in the Worcester area or if you want to travel to that event. It is fantastic.
Thank you for the warning.
But it's always a good atmosphere there. So
it's a splendid atmosphere.
Brilliant. Okay, Jackie, I mentioned you earlier because you registered an event today, didn't you?
I did. I plucked up the courage to actually do it. I've been so busy with other things that it took some elbowing, but I managed to do it. The idea came up last month when my local astronomy group did a solar day, which was wonderful. And I was the space artist on site as well to do plein air watercolours. But not a lot of people came, and I realised that the astronomy group hadn't actually advertised it within the local community very well. Now, my local community on the Facebook page has its very own Facebook page, Stanford, where I live. It's 23,000 people, and they're really active. Mostly lost cats, and have you seen that suspicious person? And look what the local youths are doing, that sort of thing. But I put photos that I took of the solar day, and I put them up just to see what the reaction was. And it was quite astonishing. And I thought, well, if I can get 200 or 300 remarks just from 3 photographs, I'm sure I can do something with my own artwork as a space artist every day from the 4th to the 10th. And get my local community involved. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Each day, I'm going to be putting up one of my images, and I'm going to be talking about space and how connected it is to the local community, whether it's spaceships, sustainability, whether it's the past or it's the future. And I'm sure I'm going to get really good responses from that. And I'm going to be taking screen grabs of those responses and of the artwork so that I can then upload it onto the website, hopefully. And the idea is that I'm slipping through the local community in a sustainable way. You don't have to be traipsing around hauling huge telescopes. There are easier ways of doing it if you haven't got the funds, the inclination, or the energy. You just have to have the enthusiasm and the technology, and it's there. Agreed.
Absolutely brilliant. And if you've not seen it on Twitter, go and have a look at Jackie's Twitter account, because I absolutely adore your circles space art. I think that
Thank you.
Everything you do with that is fantastic. I don't know how you do it, but it looks amazing. Thank you, Jackie. Okay, Victoria Fawcett, you're doing a World Space Week event. Tell us about it.
Hi. Yes. So my audio is not really working on my laptop, so I've joined twice.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm running a World Space Week event at the Great North Museum in Newcastle. So another World Space Week event in the Northeast. And so this will be Saturday, the 8th of October. I've just tweeted at the World Space Week account. and it'll be running from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. And we're going to have a range of different space activities throughout the museum. And it's perfect for kids, kind of anywhere between age 4 to age 14, kind of roughly. We're going to have kind of James Webb demonstration, kind of interactive demonstration with infrared cameras. We're going to have flash talks going on throughout the day, including a flash talk about space debris and how this is an issue for space sustainability. And then a few other activities such as planet surface making. And it should be a nice family-friendly, fun space day at the museum. So please come along if you're interested.
That sounds really, really good. Can I ask a question? Has it been registered?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but I realized the image hadn't quite worked, so I've now re-uploaded the image, so hopefully that's worked now.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, because there were a couple actually that the image hadn't uploaded properly. So
yeah,
but yes, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, Victoria. John.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely fine. How is it at Tranquility Base?
It's a bit chilly out here tonight, actually.
So just to introduce John very slightly as I know him, the past 2 years with lockdown, John and Natalie Starkey and a few other people in the space industry helped me to create a video quiz. And so I basically, very last minute, a bit like today's video, went online and said, hey guys, I need some space related questions from all you experts, and then I need you to answer them as well. And John has been absolute stalwart both years, absolutely fantastic. So, and they're on YouTube as well, so you can go and have a look at those after this finishes. Sorry, John, carry on. What are you doing this year?
Oh no, I appreciate your rallying around this cause every year and getting me to do stuff, because I wouldn't do it normally on my own. So thank you. And this is actually the first year I've actually got off my arse and done something myself. So I've got
and registered it
as well. I think it was actually due to a response I had on Twitter from you on the World Space Week account saying, have you registered these events? So yes, they're registered.
So it does work then?
It does, absolutely does work. Yep. So I've got a couple of events. I've got some online Zoom webinars. So tomorrow night, I'm just living out my nerdish curiosities, but doing it through social media and Zoom. Really, there's people out there in social media world that I'd love to talk to and find out more about. I think about it as like, if I'm sat next to them at an airport, what would I ask them about? If we had an hour in stopover somewhere, what would we talk about? And just put that on Zoom with other people. So tomorrow night at 6 o'clock UK time, I've got Tim Gagnon, who's you might know him as KSC Artist on Twitter. He's an artist, and he has designed mission patches for shuttle crews and ISS crews. And I love what he does. And I've never spoken to him in real life. And I thought, well, let's just get him on a call. He's going to join me live from Florida, and we're going to have an hour talking about what it's like designing mission patches for astronauts, and just see where it takes us for an hour. And on Thursday night, I've got another event. The Wednesday night one has been cancelled, the one with Josh Weston, that's been cancelled. But so the Thursday night event is similar again, 6 o'clock Zoom, open to all. And this is with Fiona Horsford. Now, she is a harpist. She plays the harp. And this is another thing that sort of I'm trying to collide together space and other stuff, is that she got known to me on social media, and she was playing the harp, and I thought that sounds amazing. I wonder if she knows anything about it. Knows any space songs. So I asked her to do a space song, particularly something from Apollo 13, and she put the launch music from Apollo 13, which was my favorite movie, played it on the harp, and I just was like shivers and tingles. It was just amazing. And she said, oh, it's just a rough go at it, and it's like, oh my god, that was incredible. So I'm trying to bring her talent to the wider space community. So I've seen the playlist of things she's been practicing. She's got some really, really cool space music, and you'll probably know what the space music was going to be, because there's some really key pieces. But she's going to be talking to me about music in space, our mutual love for music in space, space movies, and then playing some pieces live for us. Now, this is really quite cool, because she normally charges for these things, and I've managed to convince her to do it free for Space Week, because she likes the idea. So both of these things are on Eventbrite. You can register. There's 100 places. There's still places left. You can find them by looking up me on social media. It's all over my Twitter. So please do register, come along. I'm just trying to do something a bit different. It's the first time I've done a Zoom myself, so it might be a bit clunky, but I don't really care. Put it up there and be who you are. I'm doing something else on Saturday. I'm going to Guildford for the High Street Takeover. Now, I would have thought they'd have put it on the website, the Institute of Physics and Surrey University. I'm surprised it's not, but they do a massive thing in Guildford. They take over the whole shopping mall. They do like science busking to the public in the shopping mall, and I'm taking my rover Yuri along and setting that up in in a shop that's actually empty, and people can come along, sit at a laptop and send commands to the rover, and then the rover will move around in the shop, and they can hide an alien or something, and they can come and drive a rover. So that's basically what I'm doing for Space Week this year.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Guildford event, actually, because that went on. Well, it's gone on for the years that haven't been COVID marred, really, hasn't it? And again, that's something I was trying to push around the UK, is having window displays and shop displays and high streets, and invigorating the high streets for World Space Week and things like that. But I think Guildford was the only one that really took it up and ran with it, which was absolutely brilliant. And they've done it every year since.
Yep.
So,
and I did it before with them. I think it was last year. We had a little window in the COVID, and I went up to Guildford, and it was mad. I was about 20 deep in a queue for people waiting to drive the rover.
Great.
And it was good because I meant I could walk up and down the queue, talk to them, ask other questions, young people, old people, all coming along. And these are not the usual suspects. These are just people that happen to be out shopping for the day and go, oh, what's this all about? So,
and that's the key, if you want to do something like that, it's to get the interest and to grab the attention of the people who don't know about World Space Week, and just invigorate that interest and that need for space excitement.
It's not massively abstract either for me, because I work in Portsmouth, it's just an hour south of Guildford, where we build satellites. So it's not completely off the wall. Sorry, satellites just up the road. So it's really linked into the local community there as well.
Brilliant. Griff, I see you have your hand up. Oh, you're not off mute yet. Oh, can you unmute, Griff?
How's that?
There we go. That's it. What are you doing for World Space Week, Griff?
Well, pretty damn good so far. This is a bit past tense, but on Saturday, Alistair, Simon, and I assisted at Heather McRae's event at BIS headquarters.
Yeah, so this was the one that I mentioned earlier about the picture yourself an engineer.
Yeah, there's a very talented photographer there. I asked one of the young people involved to write it up for a space flight, and Gear's got plenty of photos of what was going on.
Fantastic. So just so that everybody knows, Spaceflight is the British Interplanetary Society membership magazine. So if you want to, you can buy it in the shops, but it's much better if you're a member of the British Interplanetary Society, because it means that they can do a lot for their members if they have more members. Sorry, Griff, carry on.
Well, that was about it, really. There's some beautiful imagery developed. The photographer was very talented, and knew just how to pose people to get precisely the right effect. That they used Simon's Skylon model as a prop at one point, and I was just praying, "Oh God, please don't drop it." But they were all right. It did very nicely, and I was able to show some people some of the pictures and artifacts we had about the building. I hope I didn't bore everybody with it, but it was a good day anyway.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Griff. So yeah, so that's the event that went on at British Interplanetary Society HQ in London. If you catch the train into London from the west into Waterloo, you'll have probably seen the HQ building. It's just off from Vauxhall Station as you're going into London on your right-hand side. Big letters, British Interplanetary Society. If you're in the area, go and knock on the door, ask to be shown around. Somebody will give you a tour of the building, probably Griff here actually, and tell you all about the British Interplanetary Society. I've been a volunteer and a member. They are the World Space Week UK coordination, national coordinators, for which I volunteer to help, and for which Shweta is going to be taking over from me. And as I say, I've been with them for over 12 years now, and they are a fantastic society to be a part of. So thank you, Griff. Is there anybody else here who is doing a World Space Week event or wants to do a World Space Week event but doesn't quite know how to do it? We got any hands up? No. So I'm assuming that either everybody here isn't doing their own, but maybe attending a World Space Week event. If you do decide that you want to continue and do an event, like create your own event over the next week, you can still do that. You can still create an event, you can still register an event all the way until October the 15th. If also you see anything that actually shows you that actually is a World Space Week or a space related activity, let us know. Because if the more you tell us about events, the more we can then get in touch with them and make sure they're registered, make sure they know about World Space Week UK and get them on board. World Space Week UK, the team here are absolutely fantastic. We can help you to register, we can help you to promote, we can supply you with media, PR, press release templates, anything that you need help with, that's what we're here for. And we are also here to encourage events. So what I would also like to do is just going back to Helen with the space art. We have quite a few space artists, and this is something that I'm seeing a lot, and Jackie as well. Actually, if you can just unmute yourselves a minute, because we've got Stephen Salmon, who is a BIS member as well, who does space ceramics. Jackie, you do a lot of space art. Helen, you do space art. What is it about space that gives you that creativity? If I can start with Helen.
Well, I mean, I have to say, it started, like many people, it started with Star Trek, David Bowie, and some other things. So the seeds were planted then, but I only started really doing it in 2007. And I'm just fascinated. To me, the process of making art at its best is something challenging and just out of reach. There's always something more that's got to be achieved to create something that's more brilliant and more better. And it should be like that for the viewer as well as the artist. And space, to me, is exactly the same. It's like we just keep working and working, but whatever we're trying to find or achieve out there is always just one step away, and it's just out of reach. Although we're getting better at it, but we will never fully understand it. So to me, they're just locked. But on a much more basic level, oh, I love rockets.
And Jackie, just very quickly, because I then want to come on to some of the actual engineers in the audience and just find out how they feel that they could actually engage with World Space Week a bit more. But Jackie, you with your art and what is it about space, and why World Space Week? Why do you think that World Space Week could help you with your art and promoting yourself?
Well, art is all about communication visually, and it employs so many different things from 2D art, digital art, crafting, performance art, sound art, music. It's a way of communicating our hopes, our fears, what we know, what we don't know. It's a way of reaching across and dropping little ideas into other people's minds, what they see, what they visualize, and how it touches them spiritually. And also it's a medium of growth as an artist. You start off at one point A, and half the time you end up in point U or T. And it's as surprising to me as an artist where I end up as it is to the viewers who look at my work. But basically it is communicating the colours, the shapes, the maths involved in all of the artworks. I also do kind of like performance arts. I paint live, and it's a way of hooking other people in. You know, artists will tell you that if they're in a gallery, people are frightened to approach you, look you in the eye. So when I paint, my back is always to the audience so that the audience can either just watch and then drift on by, or they come round into my view and start talking to me. And that's a wonderful thing when people start discussing space, because it gives you an opening. So art is not only communicating, it's a way of opening a door.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good thing as well when you're looking at a younger audience, a very young audience, that's a very good communication skill, is to make it creative, to bring them in and give them a safe space to do that. Now, I noticed that a lot of people have not got their screens on, and I'm guessing that's probably because their video's on, because they probably don't want me to pick on them and bring them into the YouTube channel. So I won't do that to you, that's fine. I think that what we've got now is, I think that's probably about it for now, but what I do want to stress is just going back to the whole World Space Week theme, space and sustainability. If you want to use the theme this year, you can do, or you can just use any space related content. There are resources at ESRO, there are resources on the BIS website. So again, bis-space.com. Go on there, look at the resources. One of the British Interplanetary Society members has created a World Space Week Space and Sustainability word search. It's not a simple one, it's quite complicated. So, but it allows you to learn a little bit about the theme and about World Space Week and space in general. Go and have a look at that. We also have a fantastic resource that was done by a local STEM ambassador in London and one of the education outreach team at the British Interplanetary Society. And that's all about planets and, again, sustainability. So there are resources out there. There are lots of resources on the World Space Week website itself as well, not necessarily UK based, not necessarily UK focused, and not necessarily within the UK curriculum, but there is everything out there. It doesn't all have to be educational. It can just be drama, it can be music, it can be anything, as long as it's space related and it is inspiring. So I would just like to wish everybody here a very happy World Space Week. And I don't know if everybody on here could actually put their videos on, turn their mics on, and all shout happy World Space Week if you're still there. That would be great, because that'll be a nice end, and I can also get a screenshot of everybody so that I know who's on. So if anybody else is there who can turn on their videos? No? Okay, well, those who are here, if we can just say 3, 2, 1. Happy
World Space Week!
Thank you very much for joining, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it. If there are any other questions, please let me know. You can contact me at worldspaceweek@bis-space.com. It'll be either myself or Shweta who answers that email. Yeah, thanks, everybody. I am now going to stop live streaming on YouTube. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.